The Larry Sharp event. My name is Sean Phelan. I will be emceeing this. You may also know me as the Libertarian Agent of Chaos. That is me. Okay, so without any further ado, I give you the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that's trying to change New York and make it a really better place. Larry Sharp.
Thank you, everybody. I'm doing what I always do, which is I'm going live. I am doing this live here at Nashville, right here in Henrietta, right? Yeah. Why would I be doing this live? Why do I always do all my events live? There are several reasons. Number one, because I want you to know that what I say to you is what I say to everyone. I don't say, oh, I love this thing in front of some people, and then say, I love this other thing in front of others. No, what I say in front of you, you will hear in front of everyone. That's number one. Number two, you notice I do it with no notes. Why? Because you know that you are hearing what I actually think, what I actually believe. I can have you angry at me. I can have you think I'm wrong, but I can't have you not trust me. That is the most important thing. If you don't trust me, we have nothing. So I need you to trust me, which is why I just tell you what I feel. You will always get what I think. There's one more reason. Sometimes people want to kind of clip my stuff and say, Larry said the evil thing with no context. Well, guess what? The context is online. You all heard the context. So now whatever I said, you know what I actually meant. So that's why I do it this way. Well, why would I come out here? Why in the world would I come out yet again to Monroe County? I've been out here a lot of times. I'm a guy from Queens. Why am I out here? Because if you hear me talk, I always say the same thing, which is localization is important. Counties matter, cities matter, let people be people. I hear all the time, Larry, we got to break up this state or change this, or I'm tired of New York City, I'm tired of Albany, whatever the case may be. You're right. So what can we do? We can do something that's more important. Imagine if each city and each county was able to kind of run its business the way it wanted to. You wouldn't care what was happening in Albany or New York. If you actually believe diversity is good, which I do believe, I'm all about, we hear diversity all the time, diversity, I'm in. Yes, diversity is a great idea. Then why in the world would we want a one-size-fits-all solution from one city in this state? That makes no sense. I say we should be diverse, I agree. And let people be people. It's an important piece. You might go, Larry, that sounds good, but does that really matter in my day-to-day life? It does. The reason why it matters is, think about where we are right now in our political discourse. In our political discourse right now, a win for somebody is not my life getting better. My win is the other guy losing. That's a win now. So if I'm a Democrat, I don't care if my life gets better. I just go, as a Republican lost, awesome. That's not good for me. I'm a Republican. I don't get what my life isn't better. As a Democrat lost, awesome. So who's actually winning? Who's winning is the people who are really our enemies. It's the establishment. And that may sound cheesy, but you know it's true. You know that's who will keep winning each and every time. And I'll give you a couple stats that you may or may not like, but they're true. Last time when I ran for governor, 5 people were running. I was the only person not getting a government check. This time I'll be running. There'll be 3 people running. I'll be the only person not getting a government check. Think about that. That means this system is made for people who are politicians. This system is made for people who are already in the system. I went to court recently trying to get some relief from this horrible statistic, this horrible piece they put against us. You may not know this, but in 2018, they said I had to get 15,000 signatures to get in the ballot. We did it. We made it. Life is good. Now, anybody would assume if you make time on the ballot based upon the governor's race, that actual time on the ballot was for 4 years, right? Every governor's race. They said, no, in the middle of it, you changed everything. Nope, in the middle of it, reneged. And what did the court say? I don't care. Then we said, it's not fair. It's too hard. How can you do this? I want to think about this for a second. They want me now to go from 15,000 to 45,000 signatures. Think about that. They tripled it. 45,000 signatures. What does that mean in 6 weeks? If you work 5 days a week to do this, you decide you're going to work 5 days a week on this. You'd have to get 60,000 because they will fight you on every single signature and knock them off. So you got to get 60,000 signatures in 6 weeks. That's 10,000 signatures a week. That's 2,000 a day if you work 5 days a week. And they thought, that's fair. That's easy. Everybody could do that. You think I'm joking? That's literally what the people said in our court case yesterday. They said that's reasonable if someone works hard, they can do it. That's what they said. So an individual, for those who don't know, you've been out there trying to get signatures. An amazing day for an individual is 100 signatures in a day. That's a great day. You get 100 signatures in one day, that's a great day. This judge says you need 2,000 a day. How many friends do you have who don't work? How many friends do you have who don't work? It is literally impossible. And they know that. And when the judge talked to the judge, but the judge said, this is not last time before that, he goes, look, we can't have these extra parties being on the line because we're going to start paying for elections. So if we have too many parties in the line, it's too expensive. So I know you thought that your First Amendment right had value. It does not, because it's too expensive. So yes, someone asked me, is it true they're going to start giving $100,000 to this person and $1 million to that person to run for office? Yes, that is true. Your taxpayer dollars, it's going to cost about $100 million every year to run all of these elections. $100,000, $100 million a year to these elections. Your taxpayer dollar to go to people who already have jobs in the government. That's going to happen. The judge yesterday told me, right to our face, hey, this entire idea of doing this is to make sure candidates who can't win are not on the ballot. Did you realize that your vote only matters if the person can win? Otherwise, it doesn't matter. As the judge just said so. So my response, of course, which you didn't want to hear, was I guess Republicans can't be on the governor's ballot either because they can't win either. So I guess we just do a Democratic primary and select our governor. Is that how that works now? I bet he would have said yes. I bet he would have said yes. That's where we are now. So for some of you who think, wait a minute, Larry, you're just running to try to be a super cool guy. I am already a super cool guy, not required. The reality of it is I'm running because this matters. This matters in this state and all the states. Because what happens in this state will go to other states. This is the actual battleground state and why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is what actually matters. It's important that you get behind me in this so we can make real impact. Because I want you to think about this. For those who don't know, I ran in 2018. Literally, I was polling at 6% recently in the Zogby polls, 2 polls, 6%. Last time I raised $500,000. I've already raised $200,000 this time. I have hundreds of volunteers. Many of you are right here doing it. People on my staff. And we are struggling to make the numbers. If I can't make it, who can? The answer is nobody. Which means if we don't break through this year, there will be no breakthrough. This is it. This is the only chance. The window for change in this state is closing, and it's closing this year. We will get on the ballot, and we will make this a real party. Why does this matter so much? I go one more step. Right now in New York State, you know this. This is a one-party democracy. That's all it is. It's a Democratic Party democracy. Other states have similar situations, but they're Republican democracies or they're Democratic democracies. But they're all just one-party democracies. If I actually win this thing, this will change the entire nation overnight. And imagine this. New York State goes from blue to gold. It changes the entire nation overnight. Everything's changed. But Larry, can you win? Yeah, it's possible. If Kathy Hochul makes another bad mistake, which she does very often, if she does that, Democrats have an option. Democrats will do one of 3 things. Democrats will either stay home. They do it often when it comes to off presidential elections, a common thing. There are times in New York where only 30% of the eligible voters actually vote. That's how bad it can be. So they'll stay home, option 1. Option 2, they'll hold their nose and vote for Kathy Hochul anyway because Democrats. Or option 3, they'll vote for me. If enough of them vote for me, this is winnable. Why? 25% of the people who voted for me last time were registered Democrats. I pulled Democrats. Democrats in this state are not going to vote Republican. They hate Republicans. It's real time. And those who think I'm making this up, look at what happened with all the school board elections across the state. There were lots of school board elections who were hardcore Republicans trying to take over school boards. Most of them lost. Most of them lost. Why'd they lose? Because this state is 3-to-1 Democrat to Republican. That's why they lost. This state is 3-1, Democrat to Republican. That's why they lost. And that's the Republican is going to lose. It's not going to win. So can I win? If I get 35% of the vote, if enough Democrats get mad at Kathy Hogan and vote for me, and enough Republicans realize voting for Republicans is a colossal waste of your time, money, and energy, and vote for me, I win. But let's say I don't win. That does not happen. Democrats are still scared. Republicans are still fooled by the lie. Okay. What if I come in second? But Larry, I got to vote for my Republican because he might come in second. Republicans have been coming in second in this state for 20 years. Look at what that's got you. A Republican has not won a statewide election in this state in 20 years. Not senator, not governor, nothing. Nothing in 20 years. And the state's getting bluer, not redder. Does that make sense? They're not going to win. So it's a fantasy. They're not going to win. So if you want to keep voting, go ahead. He comes in second again, nothing changes. What if I come in second? If I come in second, this state becomes a multi-party democracy overnight. Even if I come in second, immediately this becomes a multi-party democracy. Now independent parties will be able to have power in this state and we can build a coalition against the establishment. That can happen. Without me coming in second, that cannot happen. What if you come in third? If I come in third, I still become popular. Why does that matter? Because I was right at the Erie Canal earlier this morning in Fairport. And while I was in Fairport, guys, please, guys, come on, please. Thank you. I was in Fairport this morning. And when I was in Fairport this morning at the Erie Canal, there were people there who voted for me last time. They recognized me. And they said, Larry, I remember you. I remember the thing you talked about. You talked about that hovercraft idea. You remember that idea I talked about last time? I was talking about putting hovercraft on the Erie Canal. Why? Because it's shallow. Why not put hovercraft on it? It's not a bad idea. Not just that's interesting. When I was in the Marine Corps 30 years ago, they had hovercraft that could take a tank across the ocean. They can't do something cool now? Of course they could. Absolutely they could. That would be exciting, interesting. The youth stay. Everything gets better by that kind of idea. And you know what they said? You know, we brought that up, Larry. Remember that. It got shot down, but they brought it up. Why do you care about that? Because they will hear about my ideas and they will start using them and the state can get better. And that's what I want. For those of you who saw me on Joe Rogan in 2018, at the end of that interview, Joe Rogan said, hey, you got some great ideas. Where'd you get those ideas from? I said, my team put them together. He said, you better lock those ideas down. I said, why? He said, people will take them. I said, take them. Fix my state. I don't have to run anymore. I can stay home. I have to do this. I have a family. I have a business. Why would I want to do this? Fix my state so I don't have to move. I come in third. Things go well. You know what happens? People take my ideas. The state still gets better. This is what I want to happen. This is what matters. So first, second, or third, it still matters. Your vote matters. And I go one more step for proof. For those of you who were paying attention in 2018 and who voted, if you voted for the Democrat, you spent your time, money, and energy in the Democrat. What did you get? Nothing. What if you put your time, your money, your energy into Republicans? What did you get? Nothing. Nothing. What if you put your time, money, and energy into me? I'm still here. I'm the guy still here. Thank you. I'm the guy who's still here trying to give you ideas to fix this state. I'm the guy still here who cares. I'm the guy still here going to every single county, every single year for 5 years straight. Of everyone who ran last time, where are any of them? Nowhere. I'm the only one still here. So when people tell me, Larry, vote for you is a wasted vote, it's the only vote that wasn't a wasted vote. Literally, it was the only one that was not a wasted vote. The only one. So I hear your worries. I do. But I hope I've shown you with actual data, with actual information, and me showing up yet again, and all the times you've seen me work, that I'm serious, that this matters. We can make impact if you get behind me this time. I want to say thank you guys all for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So I am happy now to take any questions or comments that anybody might have about what I'm trying to achieve or what's happening. And they can be local or not local, whatever the case may be. I have only one rule on questions and comments. No rules. Whatever you want, you can ask. It doesn't matter. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, please.
Why do you think New York is becoming bluer?
Yes, why do I think New York is becoming bluer? New York is becoming bluer very quickly since Cuomo became the governor. It moved very quickly when he became governor. One of the reasons was he was openly anti-conservative. That was one of the things. The governors before Cuomo, whether they were Republican or Democrat, they at least pretended to care about all New Yorkers. They at least gave the idea of, I'm the governor of everyone. That was a common thing they all did. Cuomo literally said, there is no room in this state for conservatives. And many conservatives took him up on that. They packed up and they left. If you remember, Florida used to be a swing state. It is no longer a swing state. It's a deep red state. Why? Because we've exported all our conservatives to Florida. I'm not joking. That's a real thing. So they're leaving and going to Florida, and people who are staying here are not Republicans. That's why the state is getting redder, bluer and bluer and bluer. The people who are red are leaving, the people who are staying and also migrating here. That's the reason why. Did I answer your question? Awesome. Any other questions or comments? I've blown you all the way. Go ahead, yes.
So I got some friends that live really close to here.
Yep.
I'm texting them, they're giving me a hard time, they're not gonna come down.
Yep.
I think I sent them your links, so what would you say to them to try to convince them to come down?
I
A lot of
understand.
them are right-wing leaning, I think all of
Yep.
them are, so.
I understand completely why so many people have checked out. I do. Particularly upstate out of the city. Particularly, I know that. Particularly that. Many have checked out. Let me give you some data that you may not know. Most people will tell you, doesn't matter voting, who cares? New York City controls everything. I hear that all the time. Here's the reality. Of 1/3 of New York City people are not born in the city. Another 1/3 aren't born in the country. Most people in New York City actually can't vote. You look at the data. No more than 2 million votes come out of New York City. No more than 2 million come out of New York City. So why are they so dominant? Two reasons. One, because all the cities vote blue. So does Buffalo. So does Rochester. All the cities vote blue, but something else. Upstate doesn't vote. There were 12 million eligible voters in New York State. Only 10 million even registered. Maybe 6 million vote. They're not voting. Think about that. Only 20% of the eligible voters, of the registered voters come out of New York City. 20%. How can they dominate? Because people upstate don't vote because they've given up. They believe the narrative and they stop voting. And your friends don't show up. Shame on you, friends. Don't show up and don't learn and don't pay attention. And then they don't vote. And then they wonder, why am I getting screwed? Because you didn't pay attention. Because you don't vote. That's why you're getting screwed.
And then they complain.
And then you complain.
That everything's expensive.
I hear all the time. I heard it was it yesterday or was it today? It was yesterday. Someone said, you know, I don't pay attention to politics. I said, politics pay attention to you. It sure does, because when it wants its money, it comes. When it wants its laws followed, it comes. So it pays attention to you, but people don't. So what I'm telling you is, whether you live in New York City or not, your vote does matter. There are parts of this state, they're almost all red districts, and when this happens, where 1 in 6 vote. 1 in 6. You know who else doesn't vote? Gun owners. They don't vote. They think it doesn't matter. Who cares? Yes, again and again and again. And for your friends who are more right-leaning, here's what I will say. I'm not going to get New York State to become right-leaning. That is a task that I cannot do. What I can do is make New Yorkers, particularly city folk, more apathetic, which means let people be people. You do you. That is the #1 thing. You do you. I'm not going to get Brooklyn to all of a sudden be pro-gun. That's not going to happen. But can I get them to leave you alone? Yes, I can. 100%. But there's a back and forth. You got to leave Brooklyn alone too. You leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. Done. We can do this. This is not a hard thing to do. This can be done. It can be done. That's what we're trying to achieve. Did I answer your question? Awesome. Any other questions or comments? Yes, go ahead.
My question is about like exposure.
Sure.
I know the media
Does.
I know I was on board with you last season,
Yep.
last election. And I know this time you're kind of like grassrooting at your comments.
Yep.
Last articles, you're trying to get your name in there and you're still just ignoring you.
Yep.
I pointed out one time, it's like your comment has more likes than the actual article.
Yes, absolutely.
So that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes.
But they still don't want to put the spotlight on you.
Correct.
So I think it's more about exposure and spreading your name.
Yes.
So
Let me cover all those things.
I'm just getting to the debate is a big thing.
Yep.
I mean, they killed you in the debate, Colin Arnold stole your line.
Yep.
The whole thing. So how do you get that more exposure? How do we
It's a
get
great
your name
point.
out there? It's not like hard to convince people once they know.
I'm with you. Let me cover a couple of things. There were last time I ran, I learned a lot because you saw if you get your butt kicked and you just lay down and get your butt kicked, you just got a butt whipping. But if you get your butt kicked and you learn something, get back up, now you got a lesson. So I try to make it a lesson. That's what I try to do. So I learned a couple things. One thing I learned is, why am I not in the polls? Why am I not in polls? You may not know this. You have to buy the poll. I'm not joking. They don't just do a poll because they love you. They do a poll because some PAC or some party buys the poll. Well, if you're a Republican or Democrat buying a poll, do you want my name in it? No. So you buy the poll without my name in it. I'm not in polls. Well, then how can you debate if you're not in the polls? How can you get covered if you're not in polls? They know that. That's the establishment system to crush the small guy. So what did I do? If you noticed early on when I was raising money, I bought polls. I've been in 3 polls already, and I'm polling around 6%. Funny, when you're in a poll, you stop polling. Isn't that crazy? When you're in a poll, you stop polling. Isn't that nuts? It's crazy. Yes. So I started doing that. That's number one. But that's not enough. The second thing is, how do you get into the media? Why won't they cover you? This is also pay to play. Some of you may not know that. You want to get covered in a newspaper? Buy ads in the newspaper. They'll cover you. You want to get covered in a radio station? Buy ads in a radio station. They'll cover you. You don't buy ads, they don't cover you. It's pay to play. Democrats, Republicans buy ads all the time, constantly. You see them all the time, you hear them, so they cover them. So what I have to do, I have to raise enough money so I can buy ads. We did this before, locally in 2019, 2020. We raised enough money for a local candidate to get a local station. This literally happened. After they signed the documents, the sales rep said, great, let me introduce you to our political reporter. It's literal pay to play. Got the check, here's the reporter. That's how that works. So we have to get more money to do that. But there's a second way of doing it, which I'm doing now also, with some of you saw, I talked about before. And that is using social media, using podcasts. I'm the guy who goes on Joe Rogan, Glenn Beck, Tim Pool. I was on a PVD podcast. I go on podcasts, which get me up there. Now, does that get me into regular media? Not yet. But I've viewed a couple of times, it does, because social media moves into media. I learned something else. And you're right, because what happened last time was true. I learned something else here. How do I get into mainstream media? By first doing grassroots media. What some of you may have not know is local media has been devastated. Local newspapers have been crushed. They're devastated. So very often, if you have a writer at a local newspaper, he or she often actually writes for more than one paper because they don't have enough writers. So you saw what I do. I go to every single county. And I'll go to a county where nothing's really happening. I'll go to some area where nothing's really happening. And they'll cover me. They cover me. When they cover me, that story might be in 3 or 4 local papers. So I take those 3 or 4 local papers and I publish it. And people see it. Oh, he's in local papers. The big city paper will eventually notice that and eventually cover me. That will take time. I learned that lesson late also. I'll be doing that now a whole lot earlier. As I start doing that, we'll begin to happen. So as I buy ads, get covered in local, you will see other things pop up. So we had to make that happen also. But there's one thing that hurt me that I was not counting on. Actually, there's 2 that were hurting me. One was the ballot access and the signatures that I am now dealing with, that I didn't think I'd have to fight so hard to get signatures. I had no idea it would be this hard, but it's been very challenging. That's step 1. But we're getting through that, and you guys helped me with petitioning, so thank you. But the second thing that's been hurting me right now is, since the COVID lockdowns, social media has shadow banned me like there is no tomorrow. And I am fighting so hard to get that social media exposure, which I had a whole lot more of it last time, which is why my team is doing what you said, using other people's social media, commenting on those so I can get more exposure. So I'll ask all of you watching, all of you here, I'm not joking when I say it matters for you to like, comment, and share. That's the only way I break the shadow ban. If more of you like, and I don't care if you hate what I'm doing. As you're scrolling on your phone, click like, say hi, Larry, and shut me down. I don't care. Do that. It matters. Every comment, every like, every share matters. It has to. If you see any other politician say something dumb, which they do every day, put my name in there, comment, and get that going. It's the only way I can break the shadow ban. The problem is when COVID lockdowns came, I was on the forefront of saying, this is a bad idea. How do we fix it? And of course, social media said, that's evil. You're a bad guy. And they couldn't shut me down because I was blue checked. I was the official candidate. So they said, we can't get rid of them, so instead we'll shadow ban them. So I'm shadow banning lots of stuff. So I'm trying to get around that also. So your point's a valid one. The answer is more exposure via social media, and second, raise more money. Those are two things. That's what we're doing. Did I answer your question? Yes. So I did learn my lessons. Sometimes in your book, it's only to learn. Sadly, that was mine. So I have learned. Any other questions or comments? Please.
Hey Larry, you got some merch for sale?
I do. Absolutely. If you would like to have a cool shirt, if you'd like to have a cool bumper sticker, if you'd like to have a cool whatever the case may be, I have them. Mugs, all those things, lawn signs, they're all on LarrySharp.com/shop. And people tell me, Larry, that shirt's expensive. Yes, because you're funding the campaign. That's why the shirt's expensive. So you have a couple of options. You can just give me 20 bucks, that's fine. Or you can give me 30 bucks and get a shirt that costs 10. That's your option. If you want a shirt, give me 30 bucks and I'll still get 20, or just give me 20 bucks. Both of those work, but I think you want a shirt. So yes, they are expensive, they are, you're correct. However, they're funding the campaign. It's how I get around the state. It's what I do. Those who don't know, I don't work when I do this. The other people running, they are all literally getting government checks. They're all government officials. You are paying for them to run, whether you like them or not. Your tax dollars are paying them. They're running on their time, on our money. I don't work for a year. If you can imagine, I have a wife, 2 kids. My wife does not work. I live in New York City. You can imagine my bills. At the end of 2018, I was 6 figures in debt. I'm not joking. I was 6 figures in debt. People said, why did you run in 2020? Because I was broke. That's the reason. So I was still making up money from my last campaign. I am not working now. The same thing. I haven't worked since December or November. One of those months last year. So I will go a year without a salary again. So am I asking you not to go a year without a salary? I'm not. I'm not asking you to do that. I volunteered for this torture, so I'm doing it. But I am asking you to give. I am asking you to give something. I'm trying to give a year. I'm asking you to give me a couple bucks a month for a year. If you can do that, it will help tremendously. Or buy a shirt, or buy a lawn sign, or whatever, a mug, whatever you like. It's all good. It all helps. So yes, thank you for that. Any other questions?
What sign and what shirt to auction off?
Oh yes, I will do that in a second. Absolutely. Are there any other questions or comments? Go ahead. Yes, my running man is Andrew Hollister, actually out of Rochester. Believe it or not. Yes, Monroe County. Yes, he's been away. He had stuff he had to do. He's been out of the country for a couple of months, which is disappointing but required for him. He has something to take care of. He is back now. I think he came back this week, or I think he came back this week, if I'm not mistaken. So he is now coming back and getting back in action. So yes, Andrew Hollis was the same running mate that I had last time. I kept the same running mate. Yes. Any other questions or comments? By the way, he was so young. He just was able to be lieutenant governor within like 2 weeks because he was only like 30 days, like 34 now. So anyway, yes. Go ahead.
I don't know if you can answer this.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a New York State thing
Okay.
or it comes from the federal.
Probably federal, but it's fine. I'll answer it.
But it's about gas prices.
Yep.
All right, here in Monroe County, I live in Iran.
Okay.
Gas, quick fill gas station in Iran, $4.79 a gallon.
$4.79 for a gallon of gas. Okay.
All right.
You guys are lucky. I live in Queens. Lucky. Wish I had that right now. Go ahead.
But yet you come to Henrietta,
Mm-hmm.
and if gas is 20 cents or more less.
Yep.
And that short, that it's not that long.
Yep.
You know, I got at Walmart $4.52.
Yep.
But this is past Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Sunday I go to Greece.
Yep.
The Delta Sonic.
Hold on. Are you asking why do they fluctuate, or you're asking why are they so high?
No, why they fluctuate from one area to the other.
Yes.
Within the same county.
Yeah, there are some reasons why they fluctuate.
It costs more to truck gasoline.
Yeah, that is the issue.
Go around the Coit.
Yep. Let me cover that. This is a little bit off topic, but I'll cover it anyway because I said I would answer the question. Number one, certain local municipalities have different taxes, right? So if it happens to be within a municipality, there may be a couple of more cents of tax on that specific gas. For example, New York City has separate taxes compared to other areas. So you may find separate taxation because the tax on gas isn't just tax, it's also sales tax. So it's gas tax and sales tax. So there will be a small fluctuation based upon that. But something else there'll be. There will be some transportation costs also. But more importantly, how are they making their money? I'm not joking. If you're a convenience store where you make all your money on people buying sweets inside your store, you will cut your gas price lower. If you're a gas station to where you may make money on your gas instead, you may have a higher price for gas. So individually, it will fluctuate depending on where the money's coming in. So the more they make on other things, the more they will make gas a loss leader. So that will fluctuate gas. So the localized taxes plus how that individual provider is making their money. Did I answer your question at least?
Yeah.
Good. Yep, that's why.
You understand where it's coming
I did. That's why I answered your question. I hope I answered it. Yes. I'm a business consultant by trade when I do work. So that's how I know how the business side works. When I work, but I'm good. Thank you for letting me work. Yes, go ahead.
So last time I remember the debate with you and everybody else, and after Cuomo decided he didn't want to debate.
Yep.
So do you think Kathy Hochul has more of an incentive to debate since she wasn't actually
That is a great
elected?
point. This kind of goes to what you asked also. Yeah, thank you for that. Go ahead.
She kind of, you know, she knows, well, I mean, she wasn't actually voted in, so
Yep.
she's kind of got something to prove this year.
So let me explain something else I found out about debates. Debates aren't about being fair. Debates aren't about caring about what you know. Debates are about ad revenue. No, everything's about money. In case you didn't notice that, everything's about money. Ad revenue is what matters. If you remember, after it was the 2016 election, CNN started doing town halls with individual Democratic primary guys and gals. You guys have to remember that? 2018, I forgot, whatever it was, they're doing one. Why were they doing that? Because they cared about Democrats? No, not at all. They were testing who was more popular where they get more ad revenue. And if it was done well, they would bring them back on so they could make more money on ad revenue. It's all about ad revenue. That's what matters. So I was joking, but I was serious when I said in 2020, if Kanye West had actually run a real campaign, he would have been in debates. I'm not joking. Kanye West in debates? Yes. Why? I know I'd watch him debate. Look, you're all laughing. You know, you watch that. You would so watch Kanye West debate. Of course you would. Yes, you would. Don't lie, say you wouldn't. You would so watch it. Of course you would. They know that too. And that's why he would have been on the debate stage. It is about ad revenue. So here's the problem. Here's why that happened, what you talked about. There was an actual official debate. There were actually 3 debates over the course of the last election. I was in all 3 of them. I handily won all 3 of them. I don't care what you all say, I did. So I handily won all 3 of them. But sadly, none of them were televised. Why? Because Cuomo didn't show up to any of them. Cuomo was the draw. If Cuomo shows, people watch. That's the draw. Without Cuomo, there's no draw. In fact, the official one was the League of Women Voters. He blew them off. The Republican showed up. Still not televised because the Republican was a boring guy nobody cared about. Same as this one. Another sacrificial lamb. They're all sacrificial lambs for the last 20 years. So another one showed up. They'll show up again. Nobody cares. No one watched it. So the goal is what I talked about. Be popular. If I'm popular, then they'll show up to the debate. And I'll use a Kanye West example. Imagine if Kanye West had actually run a real campaign. And he decides that they're going to say, we're going to put Kanye in debates. Kanye West in debates. And then Trump says, I'm not showing up. Right? Do you think that Biden would have shown up with Kanye West? Of course he would have. Yes, he would have. Otherwise, you're going to give Kanye West an hour by himself? Seriously, because that debate's going. How do I know that? That happened in Arkansas. We had an actual libertarian candidate, Ricky Harrington Jr., who was running for Senate in Arkansas. No one showed up for the debate. It was being televised. He had an hour by himself. Yes. He got 30% of the vote as a libertarian. 30%. Yes. So what I'm saying is I'm making up. This happened before. By the way, he's running right now for governor of Arkansas. If you're watching in your Arkansas, look him up. Anyway, so yes, that literally happened already. So they'd have given Kanye an hour. Kanye would have just bought an hour of ad space on the channel. Does that make sense? He just would have said, I'll buy the space. I'll just talk for an hour. Of course they would show up. And so of course he would show up, Trump would show up. The debate would have gone because Kanye was there because they're not going to lose that ad revenue. How do I know that again? That's what happened with me. To your point, I didn't get to those debates. But there was a debate. You guys remember that? There was a debate between Republican and Democrat.
Yeah. Well,
yes, it was. CBS decided, wait a minute, we can make some cool money here if we have a special debate. Not the official one, it was a special one. A special debate, and we'll televise it. They did. And it was between those two, and it was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. So the answer is more popular. If I'm popular, they want me to debate. Do I think Kathy Hochul will debate? I do. I think she will. I think she has something to prove. That is my gut. I have no evidence. You're asking my opinion. That is just my opinion. I think she has something to prove. I think she'll debate. But I could be wrong. Particularly if Cuomo gets back in the race, or if Zeldin is yelling at her, calling her names, or whatever, but that's all he does. So then that'll happen. So I think she will. That's my gut. We'll see. Any other questions or comments? Please.
So I just want to say, I love you.
Thank you, brother.
I love them.
Yep.
I hate how hard it is for you to actually get the name recognition you need.
Me too.
But
yes.
My question is this: if you get into office, are you going to make sure that you take those barriers down so it's not as hard?
Yes. Good question. Good question.
Voting being a big
yep.
concern of mine, as well as then continuing to move signatures on.
Yep. So let me touch both of those things. One, yes, I am getting on more things, which is good, and it's hard to get on them, but still I'm on lots of them. The advantage of being on so many things, I have more content than anyone else running. The good thing about that is if I really mess up, you can't find it. So that's the good thing, right? So there'll be so much stuff out there, I'll just bury it in all my other stuff. So yeah, I'll go live like 17 hours a day to bury the old stuff that I mess up on. So yeah, so that's the advantage is I do have that. The other advantage is I get other people to hear me. Some of you may not know this, but I am literally endorsed by the Forward Party, Andrew Yang, right? I'm literally endorsed by that. Yes. This is coalition building. I talk all the time. You have to build coalitions, right? That's important. But part of that reason why he wanted me on the running is because what you said. I have what I call the program, BRO, the program. B is ballot access, R is ranked choice voting, and O is open primaries. B, ballot access. I want easier rules to get in the ballot. It should be grossly simple. It should be very simple. And here's the key piece, which our judiciary does not understand, and shame them for not getting this. Keeping me on the ballot, there is no harm. If you don't like me, don't vote for me. There's no harm in me being on the ballot. How do I know that? 2018, millions of New Yorkers did not vote for me. Didn't hurt anybody but me. Only my feelings were hurt. No one else was hurt. The harm is going to me if I go on the ballot. Right? So that's done. But if I'm not on the ballot, I am literally taking away hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers' right to choose me. I'm taking away their First Amendment right to say who they want to be governor. So there is clear harm if I am not on the ballot, and there is no harm if I am. So we have to make that clear. The judiciary know that's how we should be thinking now. Stop with this BS and let people on the ballot a whole lot easier. I'm not saying nothing. We don't need 1,000 people on the ballot. Of course not. But something reasonable, right? There are 62 counties in New York State. Why can't you get, I don't know, 6,200 signatures? Not the end of the world. Give somebody 2 or 3 months to do so. You work hard, you can get it. Not a bad idea. You could actually do something like that. Or write a small check that you can raise some money. I don't know, $1,000, whatever. If you can't raise $1,000, you probably shouldn't be running for governor, right? So whatever, a certain number like that. Something simple, then that will make ballot access a whole lot easier. But the second critical piece is ranked choice voting. I know some people are against ranked choice voting, but I can't see a better answer for how we work right now. Why? Because the biggest issue complaint I get about voting for a third party is, well, I'm scared the other guy will win. That is the biggest one. Someone today told me that. I'm scared the other guy will win. With ranked choice voting, so you know this, you rank the people in the order you want them to win. So all sane people will vote me first. Insane people will somebody else, but sane people vote me. If you lean left, you're scared of Republican, you'll vote me, then Hochul. If you lean right and you're scared of Democrat, you'll vote me and then the sacrificial lamb. You'll do that. Either way, if I don't win, you have a defensive vote. If I win, life is great, the angels sing, everything's awesome. If I don't win, you still have a defensive vote. It takes that argument away. And if you don't like the other person, don't rank them at all. You don't want them on at all. But you can rank as many as you want the way you want. And all of a sudden now things change. That's already happening right now, by the way, in New York City in the Democratic primary. Because Democrats know that's true, but no one else gets it. I'm not even joking. It only happens in the primary because they know I'm right, but they keep it for themselves. So we change that, everything changes. Last piece, open primaries. I know people are against open primaries, but with our current gerrymandered districts, I cannot see a better answer now. If we change how we gerrymander districts, I'd be open to changing my open primary stance. But why do I want open primaries? Because there are so many districts that are literally guaranteed the red or the blue team wins. So if I'm not that team, I have no say in my local government. I should be able to vote in one primary of my choice, particularly locally, right? In New York City, it's 6-1 Democrat to Republican, 6-1. If you are a registered Republican, registered Democrat, you have no say in your local government of 8 million people. Imagine how bad that is. And that same thing happens to this entire state. So unless we change that, open primaries is a good idea to get people to have control over their own government locally, which I push for local government like there's no tomorrow. So I can't create local government and then create local bullies. That's not going to work. I got to make sure people have control. So yes, thank you. So did I answer your question? Yes. And the advantage is, for a lot of the rules, this is a good and bad thing in New York State. In New York State, we really don't pass laws hardly ever anymore. Usually we pass budgets, or we make executive orders, or we create commissions that make their own rules and just magically become laws with no one being accountable. That's what usually happens. So the bad part about that is that's a terrible system. The good part is it's fixable pretty easy by a guy like me, because most of the stuff does not have to go through legislature, because they made it to where the dictator runs everything. Well, if I'm the dictator, I'm going to dismantle it all. So that becomes a great idea. If you see most of this I talk about, I don't talk about lowering taxes. I talk about eliminating taxes. I talk about lowering things. I talk about eliminating things. So that now I have to recreate the thing to bring back the horribleness. If I just lower taxes, the next guy raises them. If I eliminate a tax, now you have to recreate the tax. They might do it, but it's a whole lot harder. It's a whole lot harder. Oh, I'm the guy who brought back the school tax. Ooh, right? Who wants to be that guy? So it makes it a whole lot harder. So I hope I answered that question. Excellent. You had a question in the back?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So when you talk about the
Yes.
what about the nation? Where do we stand on the critical point?
This is a great point. He brings the idea, if the state's in trouble, what about the nation? Yes, the nation's in trouble. And here's what I would say, and I don't care if I'm biased. We are the battleground state. People say, well, it's Pennsylvania or Michigan. No, it isn't. Those are states that decide if the left or right will rule us for another 4 years before the other side takes over. That's what that is. I'm saying for our state to actually be a viable, independent democracy, republic, starts in New York. All the bad stuff starts here. If they get away with it here, then it goes to the next state. If it's Jersey, it's like next week. If it's Utah, it's like 30 years. But either way, it's going to that state. It just takes more time. It's going to that state. We are the battleground state. If we actually turn this state gold, the entire nation will change. If this state becomes an actual multi-party democracy, the entire country will become a multi-party democracy. If we actually have a state that respects diversity and allows local communities to support themselves, the entire country will go that way. So yes, what you see happening in New York is happening across the entire country. So that's why this change is so important. It's one of the reasons why I'm still doing it here. People say, Larry, why haven't you moved? We want you to come to Tennessee or Florida or New Hampshire. This is my state, it's the battleground state. That's why I'm here, right? I'm a Marine, I'm in the front line. I said it before last time. I said, I am okay. I will break a hole in the system. You all gotta follow me through. Well, I broke a hole. For those of you who remember, in 2019, we had 107 libertarians across the state. Yeah, 107. Then the state took everything away and they closed the hole. So 107 of you followed me right through that hole. I broke a hole in, 107 you ran through. The hole was too small. Too small. The state covered it up. We're going to build a bigger hole, open up the hole huge, and more are going to run through it to where now they can never stop us. And that's the goal. That's my answer. Any other comments or questions? Go ahead.
Very sharp result. It's so nice to finally meet you.
Thank you.
I'm Luther Lane. We got a meeting here on social media. Just wanted to say I came in a little bit late, but I say I know you. I'm more of a socially liberal, but I'm also like just the conservative majority. Like I've been watching your videos and everything.
Thank you.
And what I started to finally realize, and the corporations are taking over.
Yes.
Literally everything in our lives. Like, for example, I'm actually currently a registered Democrat. I'm looking forward to becoming libertarian.
Yay! People say we like a Democrat. There you go.
And and I was running against Harry Brunson, and then also I tried to get petitions against current incumbent Sam Burrow. And what I finally realized is that the same talking points is what I'm starting to get irritated about.
Yes.
It's like more money for
more money
for schools.
Yeah.
More money for this, more money for that, and they don't even care about the homelessness on the street.
Not at all.
COVID or anything.
100%. Agreed.
So I can go on and on all day about it.
I appreciate it. But hold on one second. Is there anybody else here who either now or in the past, say, 2 years was a registered Democrat? 1, 2. That's good. I'll take it. Anybody here now recently, say last 2 years, registered Libertarian? Oh, of course, most of the room. Okay, great. And how about Republicans? Oh, not the mayor. Oh, mostly Libertarians. Okay, good. There we go. Not too bad. All right, I like that. Good. Yes. I do that all the time because every single time I do that, I get Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians, Independents. I always get them in the room. Go to a Republican event. Go to a Democrat event. They're all Democrats, all Republicans. But not just that. Where does a Democrat go with? Like, Help will say, well, I go to events all across the country. Yes, she goes to the Democratic committee events in every place that she goes across the country. She doesn't go to a local place like I go to. All my events are in local businesses. Have you noticed that? I promote them always. I always promote local businesses because local matters, because entrepreneurs matter. Absolutely. Your point about big business, yes, the entrepreneur class is the critical class in the state that will grow the state. Without it, we are in trouble. So we have to grow. So
not to mention, like, I used to go to SUNY Geneseo as a kid. I never went to that college.
Yep.
And those small businesses is what made Geneseo a very special place.
Absolutely true.
And then these small businesses are leaving, they close. And I'm like, we already have people from Ukraine and people from Mexico who wanting to work. And when if I'm not running this year, but if I had my way, I would say, let's create a state immigration pilot so they could come to ports of entry, they can work and help us out.
I love the idea. But I don't think we can do it. I don't think we can do it, but maybe, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, please.
So you're from New York City.
I am. Born in Manhattan.
I saw you last time you were up here at Henrietta, back at my place.
Yep.
So do you do a lot of events in New York City, or is that kind of a lost cause for you?
No. The reality of it is,
you do differently there than you do up here.
The reality is, the reason why I video all this stuff is so that my policies don't change. When I do events in New York City, I do them all the time. I do them in Brooklyn, Queens, of course. But you know what I don't talk about? I talk about issues that people care about. So I come up here and I talk about things like the Second Amendment. Many people up here care about that. When I go down to New York City, I talk about education. People care about that. I talk about the issues that matter to them. My policies don't change, but I talk about the issues that those people care about. So I do events all the time. But I'll cover things like corruption, education, infrastructure. I'm in New York City. Everybody cares about the MTA. Many of you have heard about my MTA plans. I've done about them here. Why would you guys care about the MTA plans? So I don't bring them up here. But I bring up plans where I think the people care. And MTA things, I bring up things like that. Transit, bridges. Those are critical in New York City.
Not to mention, I was very scared in the subway. I was in New York City. I went to Syracuse.
Ron?
It was like hell. I went on Amtrak.
Let him talk. Sorry
about that.
Go ahead. No, did I answer your question?
Yes. No, you're good.
Oh, okay. Some of that. Yes. Okay. Yes. No, the point, it's a valid one, right? People care about crime in the subways. You guys don't. You're not in the subways, right? So I talk about what people care about, where they are. Yes, to do events. If you look, you'll see I literally cover every single county, every single year, no matter what I do. All 62 counties. I've done it for 5 years in a row. This year I'll do it twice. So I'll have a total of 6 full sharps under my belt to make sure that people know that I care. But I do spend time in New York City. But is it harder? It is. There's no doubt. There's no doubt it's harder. People in New York City is harder for several reasons. Remember, many of them can't vote. Many of them are tourists. So I'm meeting people on the streets in New York City. Many of them either can't vote or they're tourists. New York City obviously is a huge tourist city. So my time that I spend meeting people, a lot of them are people who actually can't vote. So that becomes a problem also when I'm doing that. Having events becomes tougher also because you have an event. Something's always going on in New York City, right? So there's always something to do. So it's challenging to say, I have 85 things to do. Want to go see Larry Shaw? It becomes harder. So it's definitely more challenging. So very often in the city, I'll do open places. Like I'll do a park because I hope to catch people walking around and bring more in. So I'll do things like that. It's a little bit different way of doing things.
I got one more question. So if you do win, do you or but is it possible to ever try to start?
Why would I want to if my goal is to make people care and spend more money and time in their own counties, there won't be a need to. If I do my job effectively, which I hope I will, nobody will care, right? Because the number one, there's many reasons why I don't want so much money going to Albany. Many reasons. One of them is as money goes back to Albany, Albany controls the counties via that money. So less money that goes to Albany means by default less control over the local counties. My goal is in the first 4 years to get to a point where I can end all unfunded mandates in the counties. Imagine if we did that. Imagine if your county could start its budget at 0. Impossible now. Impossible. You start your budget with at least 80% already spent, if not 100%. Think about this. There are counties where they start their budget because of unfunded mandates by the state government, where they don't have any money. So what are they forced to do? They're forced to somehow raise the taxes on you or use law enforcement as a profit center. You see it all the time. All of a sudden now they start raising this fine, raising this fee, lowering to the speed limit, changing speed traps, all kind of stuff, putting in cameras versus speed bumps, right? Raising the gas tax. Yes, 100%. Yes. You stay at, look, I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying I understand it. You come to a point where you can't fix your roads. You see it. You cannot fix the roads, even though your county's making money. Unfunded mandates took all the money away. So within 4 years, I hope within the first 2 years, we should be able to eliminate school tax. Within 3 to 4 years, we can eliminate the income tax. Within 4 to 5 years, we can make it to happen where there are absolutely no unfunded mandates. Now, I would ask you, is there any candidate saying that? They're not. They're not. If we eliminate those taxes, imagine some government coming in. I'm going to come in, and what's your platform? Install an income tax. Yeah, that's not going to go over well. That guy's not winning. So that's what I want to try to achieve. So yes, I'm about making that happen. Any other questions or comments? Awesome. Then I would do one thing if I could. Could you bring that up if you don't mind? And the shirts? I'm going to try, if you don't mind, to auction these off. I said it's a fundraiser, and it is a fundraiser. So I want to auction this off. And here's the best part. I have a Sharpie. Yes, pun intended. I have a Sharpie for this awesome lawn sign. Who will, I'll sign this lawn sign. So you have a signed lawn sign. Who will this off my hands? If you pick this up off the website, it's like $85. Who will take this off my hands? I'll sign it for $100 to support the campaign. Somebody here for $100. $100. Thank you. Yeah, whatever, doesn't matter. $100. Awesome. I'll tell you what. Who will go 125? He'll go 100. He'll go 125. 125. Excellent. Who'll go 150? 150. He'll go 100. He'll go 125. You gonna let him take it? Come on now. Yeah, you kind of did. Yeah. 120. Who'll go 150? 150. Who'll go 175? Oh, no. I'll tell you what I'll do. He's got 150. I will sign this with Sharpie with anything you want me to write. To include vulgarity. If you want me to. I did this once before, and somebody had me sign their flag, I love taxes, Larry Sharp. That was his vulgarity. True story. True story. That was his vulgarity. He bought a flag off me for like $100. I said, I'll sign it, and I signed it, I love taxes, Larry Sharp. Hopefully we can burn that flag. Anyway, the point being, I will sign it. $200. They take this sign. I will sign it with a Sharpie, a permanent Sharpie, with anything you want to include vulgarity. $200. I mean to drop an F-bomb. $200 to say I love taxes. 150 going what? $200. There we go. Excellent. Thank you so much. $200. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. $200. Anybody who let me know afterwards and I'll sign up for anything you like. Thank you. Now I'll do one more thing if I could. This awesome shirt is a cool t-shirt. Hold on. It is size It is a large, I think. Does that say large? Yeah, that's a large. It's a large. Would anybody like to have this shirt? Low, low price because you love me is the reason why you would do this, because you love me. Low, low price of $50. $50 support the campaign. 50, awesome. Who will go $75? Because you love me even more than Dr. Becker. Like Dr. Becker. You love me more than him. So he loves me the most? Oh, I am hurt. Who will go $75? Somebody? 50 going once? 50 going twice? $75. Thank you. I appreciate that. Dr. Becker, you're not going to let him take that money. Come on now. Who loves me more? Who will $100 and show me how much they really love me? $100. $75 going once? $100 waiting. $75 going twice. $100. There we go. Yes, very nice. He does love me more. Yes, he does. And I have daddy issues, so money is love. Yes, it is. Money's love. It is. Money is love. Absolutely. So yeah, good. There we go. $100. Will anyone go 150? Will someone do 150? I got $100 here. 150. You know what? I'll take my black Sharpie and shine over here. Whatever you want. Same thing. If you go 150, you get the signature on the shirt. That's not bad. Front end or back. It's got a back too. It's not playing games. It's got a back too. Who will go 150? I got 100 going once. Looking for 150. 100 going twice. Sold. $100. Thank you guys. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Whatever you can do to help out does matter. Signatures, signatures, signatures. So we can get on the ballot and change this state for the better. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching.